Welcome back to RGR, folks. I'm Ryan. This is me going rogue on the Kansas City Chiefs and the NFL draft, the NFL at large, etc., etc. It's been an interesting day, and right now I'm losing focus here. Going to do that again. And what's been going on is kind of crazy. Out of the blue, the Chiefs were able to get something done. We're going to talk about that. If you're new to the channel, welcome to my backyard. I live up in the woods in Colorado, and this is kind of where it all goes down. If you like what you're seeing, make sure you hit that sub button, click the bell notification down to all of them, leave your comment below, let me know what you think of this, and then leave a thumbs up if you like this particular video. We're going to have some changes here as the clouds roll through, so just bear with me when we're doing an outside shoot like this. It gets a little bit interesting. But Chiefs bring back, and we're able to get something done with Sammy Watkins. This is something we've talked about over the last couple of months as being more and more a possibility as time drug on. Hopefully the wind's not kicking up my microphone too bad either. I'll get a little bit closer here, see if that helps. So the big plus is that you got some cap relief and you retain the entire wide receiver group from Super Bowl 54. It makes it a whole lot easier to go back to 55, in my opinion. So you can hit the ground running on what is an off season that hasn't had a whole lot of prep time. Not any OTAs. I think that's all going to be canceled. We're going to be lucky, honestly, if training camp starts on time. If it does, the Chiefs have a big advantage over where they might have been had they had to go through the rigmarole of adding players, adding guys who don't know the offense, adding guys who don't know Pat Mahomes, adding guys that don't run through routes because they don't realize that he'll drop it from anywhere. And that's a big plus for them to get that squared away now and have the whole slew of weapons available for him. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't add to it. I do feel like there's still a possibility to add a pass catcher in the draft, but it definitely knocks down the wide receiver as an option in the first top 100 picks. What this does for the draft is set up not only that you don't necessarily need an offensive weapon, a guy that's going to step in, because right now you're chock full. All your skill positions are exactly the same from your Super Bowl. I do feel that they'll take a risk later on in the draft. It's a deep class at wide receiver in particular. And so I think that plays into their advantage now, especially if they don't get something done with Jones and they have to trade down. They're going to have lower picks, but they're going to be more opportunity to get a weapon you can add to the arsenal. And I think that works out great. It does set them up that the top 3 picks as they stand right now, and anything in the top 100 is likely to be all defense all the time, unless there's an interior offensive lineman that really stands out not only to us, but in particular to Andy Heck, Andy Reid, and Brett Veach. I think that the scouting department is doing a whole lot. The Combine, I think, was probably one of the most complete groups in terms of testing for the offensive linemen. So you have a very good picture of what they're capable of athletically. You've gotten all the medicals. You've gotten that part of it. A lot of the stuff that they're missing because of COVID-19, because of the way that we're going through this, is those guys that you have to kind of nudge and explore and find strengths and weaknesses for. Guys that you didn't get a very good picture on, either at the Combine because they weren't there or they didn't run, or somebody that gave you a hiccup on film or off the field, like a Willie Gay or something like that, a guy that's really athletic and could be a linebacker that they look at in the 3rd round. I don't think they'll waste or take a risk, that is, on a guy with off the field problems in the 2nd round at 63 especially, but definitely higher should they trade back and have a pick there in the top 50. I don't think you're going to see them take a chance on a guy like that. So I could be wrong, but that's where I stand right now. So that sets up the defense to be the focus point. That's probably the way that I'll approach it going forward. But the offensive line is the hiccup. There are a number of guys that I think are about 3rd round in terms of how they grade out both on film and athletically that they could look at. And that's all because Sammy Watkins agreed to do this. And Sammy being able to get back into the Chiefs locker room really settles in on what Pat Mahomes needs to go on a run. Now, it really only equates to 1 year. So that's fine. They can deal with that next season. Hopefully the new CBA, we'll see what happens with the cap, et cetera, et cetera. You still have to pay Mahomes too, so there's that money that will come from there. But This is setting it up for 2020 to be another serious shot at the offense keeping pace out front of everybody else that's trying to get their arsenal of weapons tied together in order to try and play catch up and keep up with scoring those points. Now, Sammy restructuring does get them some room to maneuver, but it cleared about $5 million. Now, reports are what reports are. We don't have the exact number because only the NFLPA and the NFL internal numbers are what's going to matter here. But from what we've seen, there is what needs to happen in terms of getting the draft class signed. But that's not enough. They need about 6.2-ish is what the estimation is in order to get all the draft picks signed. So there's something else that has to happen. And one of the first things that they did with this cap space is go out and get themselves a backup tight end. And I do call Ricky Seals-Jones a tight end because he came out as a wide receiver with a lot of upside, but pretty raw. He's a good athlete. I'll try to throw the athletic matrix numbers up here from that draft class so we can kind of go over it. But as a tight end, he's even more so on the athletic side. He's a guy that can be used as a weapon down the field, down the seams. He's got good speed for his size. I think he's a guy that fits into what they're trying to do. And he can line up, as we've seen in his career, he's got a couple of years of experience, so that goes towards what the Chiefs are looking for. And he really does. I put a tweet out when I saw that it happened, and I want to follow up on that because I got a lot of questions. What he is to the Chiefs is beyond Demetrius Harris. Demetrius Harris was a complete project, a basketball player they're trying to convert. Ricky Seals-Jones knows how to run routes. He did it in college. He's done it in the pros. He's got a couple years experience, and then experience takes him a lot farther down the road than somebody like Harris. But he is still a guy that is based around the model that Demetrius Harris was, and that is a really, really athletic guy that needs to be coached, that needs to develop, to explore his upside, reach his potential is another way to put it. And so they really do have to concentrate on getting him into their program, getting him adapted to what they want him to do. It's not quite the same thing that he did in Arizona, and you'll see some plays that he made there. But that goes back to upside coaching can actually pull a player in a completely different direction than his career has gone to this point. But it comes back to the draft thing and the off-season thing is that, well, I think this is the same kind of thing that I talked about in drafting Chase Claypool as a third or fourth rounder, and I do think it's going to still be there. I don't think this hype is real amongst the teams. But same concept. Take a guy that's a good athlete, teach him to do what you want to do. The difference here is that Ricky Seals-Jones has NFL experience. He can walk into a room, know what's expected of him, know how to study film, know how to get ready for a game plan. And all the extra things about being a professional athlete are taken care of because he's done it. And I think that really shores up what they want to do. I think this is similar to what we've seen early on in the New England era, where they brought in veterans because they knew they could just plug them in certain ways, take advantage of what they do well, set them up for success, and kind of roll with it. I think this is a similar situation. Ricky Seals-Jones can line up at tight end too. He can line up in the trip sets outside. He can detach from the line. He can run, honestly, from a split out just as Travis Kelce does. So you have that 1-for-1. Travis needs a couple plays off. He can go in there and do a lot of the very same things without having to really crunch and study and have that adjustment year going from the college level to the NFL level. It really sets him up to be successful and the team able to weather any snaps or games that Travis Kelce has to miss or take off. So in the end, what it lets them do is be more adaptable, be more consistent with how they run the offense, not as much based on personnel. Because whereas Demetrius could do a couple of things that Travis can, you didn't see Blake Bell be explosive or do the same things that Travis can. He doesn't have the athleticism. Deion Yelder's not really there either, but he's closer than Bell was. So I do like the trio of Ricky Seals-Jones and Yelder. I do feel like Yelder's still on the way up, but they all give athleticism that can help. They all give guys that have a little bit of experience. Yelder obviously in the room with Travis and the rest of the tight ends. And now adding Seals-Jones gives them a bigger athletic option that they can mold into their style of tight end. I really like what it means in terms of being able to adjust and fit somebody to their mold, even though most of the time I would tell you that coaches need to adjust to what their players do. In this particular situation, he's such a well-rounded athlete, as well as got some experience, that you can kind of tweak and squeeze him into a role, into a mold that you want for your second tight end. I won't be surprised at this point to see more two tight end sets. Not necessarily in line either. Maybe Travis is in line and Seals is split out. Maybe they switch. I'll have to scrub some of the film to see if Seals can do some of the interior things. I don't think that's the case off the top of my head and from what I studied when he was in college. But I do feel that that opens up the options for Travis to play that H-back, to get those inside little pitches that we've seen him do, to run more Wildcat with Travis, and allow Seals to man the Y and maybe split out, etc., and still give that versatility to take what matchups you can and exploit whatever defenses give you. I think this is a great signing in terms of fit. We'll see if it turns out for performance, but that's down the road after they can get in the facility and get some training under their belts, get a mini camp in at the very least. You'd love to see that. I don't know if it's going to happen. So this may be a thing where training camp comes around, and that's when we get any of the slightest feel for what's actually going to happen. So I'm going to keep looking at him and looking at what else happens. This makes, again, another move needed for the draft class to be signed, but you never know. They could be working on something else. And certainly what we hear is that there's conversations going on with the Chris Jones group, but no offers yet. Okay. We'll see what comes of that. They've got a little bit of time, but I'd love to see it before the draft rather than after, so they can try and take advantage. Maybe they're pitching in, they're realizing that they haven't been able to get as much homework done on this class, and maybe they're not going to focus on getting this extension with Jones done beforehand. But I do feel like the overall theme is, let's keep the band together. I think Brett Veach told you the truth when he said he's going to try to retain as many of the Chiefs players as he possibly can. And good for him. I think it's a sound practice if you can do it functionally under the cap, knowing that Mahomes is out there. So we'll see what comes of it. So that's where I'm at today. Hope you guys enjoyed this. The Athletic Matrix, that's what I'm doing this weekend. As soon as I finish this yard work out here, I got some trees to fall and stuff like that. But after that, Matrix is full time, and I'll have the draft guide out hopefully within the week to 10 days. It's coming down to the wire, and I hope you guys are prepped for it. Looks like the draft's going off on time, so I better get it done, right? If you're new, make sure you hit the sub and the notification bell. Leave your comment below. Leave a thumbs up if you dig this one. Thank you all for watching. Check these Q&A on Monday night. Have a good one.